I want to travel back to 1974 uh, in the unsolved case of Leslie Zarot. We are actually former residents, right in front of the former residence of Laura Gold. Leslie Zarot was over Laura Gold's house. Now, Leslie was to make the mile-and-a-half walk to her home, which unfortunately she was never seen alive after 11:30. Prior to leaving her friend's house, Leslie called her father to say that she was en route home. Now, this neighborhood that we're in, it's about 25 miles outside from New York City, and by all accounts, back then, this neighborhood uh, shocked this residential area. This area again was a low crime precinct where the children would play freely on tree lined streets and residents, and very few muggings or assaults for that matter. And we are taking the quickest route that Leslie would have taken from her friend Laura house to her house. This would be the quickest way. I'm not sure if this was the actual route that she would have taken, but this is the quickest way. And this case has been unsolved since 1974. Let me backtrack and put the story together for you guys. 17 years old at the time of her death, murdered and she was found murdered and sexually molested in a schoolyard 4 miles from her home. This was in back of a school playground. Imagine that. The police said that the playground near where her body was found, like many schoolyards in the city, was often used like a place where youngsters would meet and they would sometimes drink beer. There was no apparent connection, however, police said at that time, between those activities and the death of Ms. Surratt. Again, prior to leaving her friend's house, she, called her father to say that she was en route. Just a 4 mile, walk there. Her parents waited all night for her to arrive, and they called the police early in the morning when she did not show. Once the police received word, apparently a few hours later, they were called by the school custodian. Right, so a few hours later, they received a call by the school custodian, like I was saying, who reported that he had spotted a young woman apparently ill behind the school. Now, this murder just shocked this residential area, and the police had assigned at that time 25 detectives to the case. And there have been, at that point, there were no leads for the longest time. Leslie had lived with her parents in Regal Park. The neighborhood that Leslie lived in, is a modest, house. It had lawns, trees. It was a two-family house, and a quiet neighborhood. And this, activity that Leslie going to Laura's house, she did this frequently. So this is not like something that she's never done before. Residents, at that point in 1970s, considered it safe, the streets safe, even at night. Imagine now, in this day and age, even considering walking late at night. I'd be scared, quite honest. So when they found Leslie's body, she was found face up in an area behind a elementary school, next to a fenced off playground. The school, it adjoins Alley Park, is a gathering place again at that point for use. Kids would hang out in the park and do what teenagers do. Her clothes were found nearby. She had been wearing a long sleeve flower print blouse, jeans, and platform shoes. Leslie was 5 feet 1 inch and weighed 105 pounds. Now, detectives at the scene of that crime at that point said that um, they said that Leslie apparently had been sexually molested, but apparently not raped. They said that she probably had been killed where her body was found, apparently by strangulation. The police reported, that week that the incidence of reported rapes in the city in the first 6 months of the year had risen 14.5% over the same period in 1973, from 1759 to 2014. Now, in regards to strangulation, you know, no marks were on her body other than the bruises on her neck, nor was her clothing torn, although it had been found scattered around her body. To get to the playground now where, her body was found, was in Oakland Gardens Elementary School on Springfield Boulevard. That closes for the day. Now, the intruder must know of a hole in a fence on the 54th Avenue side. The police also at the time said that he must have known of a footpath along a wooded ravine in adjoining Alley Park Road. And, he must have known of other holes cut into the fence by vandals. The girl's father, in a phone interview at the time, right when this case was happening, said that some of the information initially provided by the police was incorrect. He said that he denied that his daughter had called him from her girlfriend's house to say that she was on her way home. He said that he was not at home at the time of the alleged phone call and would have gone to pick up his daughter had he received such a call. And this is the actual home here of where Miss Zarat lived with her parents. Mr. Zarat also said that he told police that at 5:17 a.m. on that Saturday of let's backtrack. Mr. Zarat said that he told police at 5:17 a.m. Saturday of his daughter's failure to return home, but had to wait for more than an hour before the police arrived at his home to investigate. So, he said that the Police didn't get here exactly to his house that quick. Exactly. Now, if we fast forward to 2006, I read something that there was a conversation, a class reunion, kind of sparked this case again. This was in 2006. So at the time, the New York Post said here that the cold case cops believe a conversation at a 30-year high school reunion might lead them to the killer of Leslie Zarat. So this was the 30-year reunion, class of 1970. 30-year reunion at John Bowne High School, which was where Leslie had gone to school. And it was that time that cold case detectives sent letters to 300 alumni who attended the reunion. They wanted to know exactly what was discussed. Did they discuss the suspect? If so, who were discussing? So it was the talk of town, during that 30-year reunion, as we're driving around the school now of where Leslie's body would have been found. We're right near the school here. So their hope was that the letters will ferret out an admission that the person responsible told someone. Now that's kind of all I read, all I was able to find, and then, in 2006, kind of, there was hopes, and apparently case had gone cold again. Then, apparently, then in, I believe, 2021, a police chief reopens this cold case after she had a dream about the victim in Miss Leslie Zarat. And this, at this point, this case was 45 years old. It's still rocked the city. It's still unsolved, but she had a vivid dream about this case, and she wanted to reopen it. The thoughts and the hopes now in reopening this case is that that there have been massive advances in DNA technology, and the hopes are is that it could finally bring justice for Leslie. Here is the school where Leslie's body was found. No arrests have been made up until this point, and the Zarat family is no longer in Queens, and it's just a very sad case of someone that had their whole life ahead of them, and they died at just an early age, and no one back then would expect that this would happen in a neighborhood like this. Even as I drive around this neighborhood, present day, modern day, it's still, although it's changed, it still looks like a safe community. But we know that the times have changed now, and you always gotta look around your shoulder and make sure your doors are closed, and times are not the way they were before. Really a sad case, and my hopes are that the killer or killers will be brought to justice one day here, and here is the number 1-800-577-TIPS. And I don't know, if that reward is still valid. That amount, it might be different, but I figured I at least get you guys have a visual of the number.